Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Breaking Through the Noise. I'd like to welcome all the newcomers. I know we've got a lot of people who come every week now. We always appreciate you, and thanks for the feedback on the time and day switch. So Thursday afternoons at 2 p.m. from now on. So if you feel free to put comments about the new time and date or time and day in the comment section of the chat room. Always appreciate hearing from you. And throughout today's presentation, if you do have questions, please go ahead and add them in the chat room, and we'll deal with that and take care of them. Also, I encourage everybody to put in your LinkedIn profile or your contact information. I mean, Breaking Through the Noise is all about sharing information, connecting with people. So we want to make it as easy as possible for you. So please feel free to do so. Our guest today is Carla Eng, and she is the CEO of Abstract Displays. Carla is what you would call a true trade show warrior, having worked in face-to-face marketing for over 20 years prior to launching Abstract Displays in 2000. The goal of Abstract Displays is to design exhibits that can attract, engage, educate, and invite visitors into a client's exhibit. And the goal is to lead towards more meaningful conversations and drive sales. Today is a really exciting day because we're here to share her latest innovation, which is called VidExpo, and it is a platform to host your own trade show and take your exhibit to your audience. Carla, welcome to Breaking Through the Noise. How are you?
Good. Thanks, Doug, for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's the collaboration that we have working together. I've really enjoyed it, and we'll look forward to working with you in the future on VidExpo.
Exciting, yeah. So the first thing I wanted to kind of talk to you about was like the state. I mean, let's be candid. We're in chaos still in terms of trade shows. Can you give us an update on the state and where you see things going in the next 12 to 24 months?
Wow, that's I don't even know if we could go out that far with trade shows. It's a day-to-day. I'm sure a lot of people that are on here are having shows cancel on a daily basis. Right now, there's not any shows happening. But what we're seeing, our clients are starting to sit. We're really focusing on the cities, not in the states. We're not focusing on the shows specifically because everything's driven by what's happening in the states. Right. So when the states open up, that's when we'll be able to start planning the shows again. There's certain areas that are opening up. Vegas is opening up. Hallelujah. And we've got Orlando opening up. Georgia's opening up. The states that are a little troublesome that are not opening up yet is Illinois. They said they're not opening up until there's a vaccine. So I can't imagine them holding off that long. That's a long time to wait for a vaccine before you start having any events, because a lot of the large exhibits are in Chicago. So I really think that the fourth quarter things will start picking up again, and we're looking at the first quarter of 2021 that shows will be back. I think they'll be smaller. The biggest issue I think people are going to have is going to be travel, and companies allowing their employees to travel. And that's probably one of the biggest things that I see, because there's shows happening in Vegas. We're doing layouts for shows that are happening September, October, November, even into December. We're going to start planning January shows. Probably in about 2 months, we'll start hitting the January shows. But what we're running into is the clients being able to travel is really the biggest issue. I'm offering myself even to go travel for clients if they need somebody to work their booth. I'll gladly go for you and work your space for you, just so you have a presence.
Yeah, and so just so the audience knows, I mean, VidExpo, when you envisioned this was not a temporary fix. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure, most definitely. So when March, we call it March Madness, our own kind of March Madness that we had going on. When everything started canceling, what we ended up doing is focusing on specific clients that had shows that were coming up that they were devastated by the fact that their shows were canceled, and they had a lot of money put into their shows. They had a lot of money put into their exhibit, and they had a lot of product launches that they had to do. So we worked with a couple of clients, one specifically that we kind of used as a case study, and I have that information I can share with people through my presentation, but also throughout the after the fact we have a case study I can share. But they were devastated by the fact that they did not have the ability to be able to do their show. And I went to them and threw out to them, I said, what if we take the trade show to your audience? And I kind of pitched it to her and said, we can set up your exhibit. We can do live streaming from our facility. We can do video, any type of video shooting. You do photography. And she took it up to the higher ups, and they loved it. They were like going, oh my God, that's a great idea. Yeah. So VidExpo was born at that moment, and we just ran with it. And we were working with a video production company, Spot On, and we're bringing them in, and they're doing a fantastic job with our clients and setting up and doing the video shoots, doing the photo shoots. There's so, I don't want to get into too much because I'm going to be giving away my presentation, but it's to where it works. Because here's the thing, a lot of the shows are going virtual, and I hear virtual and I kind of cringe because they're fake. They're not face-to-face. We go to face-to-face events because that's where we want to be, is in face-to-face events. So people want to see who they're doing business with. They want that interaction, and they're not getting that. And so the one thing that I will tell you, that the clients that have done this, it made a world of difference with their audience, that they were able to interact and live stream with them, be able to break off into rooms, being able to poll them, being able to actually do one-on-one meetings with them. It was huge. And they're starting their presentations out as welcome to our booth. Yeah. And the client that we were working with actually was going to the National Restaurant Show, and it was a very big show for them. And so it was amazing, the things that came out of it.
That's outstanding. So I'm going to let you go to your presentation because I got about 1,000 questions, and we're going to give it all away.
Okay.
So, while you're setting that up, everybody, please, I mean, as Carla's kind of explaining VidExpo, I mean, by all means, put your questions in there. There's just so many applications to this. I'm excited for you all to see it and get an idea of what's going on.
Good. Are you ready for me to start?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
There we go. So VidExpo, taking the trade show to your audience. What we're finding is that a lot of shows are canceling or they're going virtual. And again, to us, virtual is a dirty word. So right now, the current virtual trade shows, what the landscape looks like. And I'm sure there's some of you out there that have had your shows go virtual, and I'd love to hear your feedback. I'll share the feedback that I've had from existing clients, but these are some of the words that are being used. It's boring. The innovation doesn't seem like it's really, they're touting that there's a lot of innovation with it, but I think it's costing people a lot of money to go virtual. So they're keeping, a lot of the show associations are keeping it very simple, and because they can't afford it, because most likely they've already put the money out for the booth space and the concrete that's in the convention center. So there's empty interactions, unqualified leads. There's, the unengaged audience. They're clicking into a page and then clicking out, or clicking into a room, clicking back out. There's no visual differentiation. There's no data that you can pull from, and sometimes it's just a landing page. I'll share a story with you real quick. I talked to a client that I tried to get him to do the VidExpo ahead of time, probably 6 weeks before their show, because we had a feeling the show was in June. We had a feeling that the show may cancel. And they said, no, the show's going virtual. They're promising a lot of different things. Well, the show's happening this week. We talked to them this week to see how it was going. And they're so disappointed because it was really just a landing page. They were limited to how much literature they could even put on it. They got to put 4 pieces of literature. They got to put 2 2-minute videos. And they were limited to the number of meetings that they could set up. So they're not happy with what the results are, and they will not get any results until after the show. So the show ends, I think, today. So then they'll get data. They don't even know who's made appointments at this point because they could not get into it. The event went live on Monday. They didn't see it, their page, until Sunday evening. So not a lot. So some of them were happening very quickly, but there's not a lot of planning that clients are able to do ahead of time. So if people want, I put my email in the chat. We actually have a data sheet that we can send to you that actually, if your show goes virtual, there's certain things you want to know before you sign up to it. I've had clients actually say, I am not going to participate in the virtual because they felt that they could do something like what we're offering and get more leads and get in front of people that were more meaningful than just doing the virtual through the show. But I have some tips that I'm thinking about that may help if you do the virtual, that may enhance, kind of drive into something like this for the VidExpo, so you can have that interaction. So VidExpo, what does that mean? So it takes you inside the exhibit to allow you to interact with your clients and prospects. There's not a fake drawing. Those are actually real photos of an exhibit that we set up. We had a whole film crew in here filming the question and answers and session, the whole demos, all of it. It was live. We're using your branding, your exhibit. If you don't have an exhibit, I have exhibits that you can rent, and we can put your branding on it, and away you go. So we've really got a really nice studio set up at our facility. So the one thing that we found that's been missing from all this virtual stuff is the human element. And if you ask yourself, why do I go to trade shows? It's because of the face-to-face interaction. So you can actually host your own live trade show. We've got a 3,600 square foot showroom that is actually studio, that's actually been segmented to where we can do island exhibits, I can do inline exhibits, and there's an interactive program that we're working with, Doug on, and you can be in control of your message and your event. I think that probably is a whole nother meeting that we can do, Doug, and just on the platform itself.
Yeah, definitely.
So the beautiful thing about this is that you've got Q&A sessions, you've got dramatic reveals, you've got interactive demos, and really it's an immersive environment. And what you're looking at here was the client that we did this with. They were doing, had a whole Q&A. That's the CTO and the CEO that were taking questions from clients and prospects. There was polling inside of the program, so they were able to see what most people were asking. And they had new product that they were revealing, which was kind of cool. It's kind of a cool looking exhibit that we built for them. Interactive, so the guys are actually really doing the demos in it. What you're looking for in the immersive environment, that's actually a pizza portal that you can pick up your pizzas, and you don't have to talk to anyone. You just go in there and get your pizza and away you go. So again, this is going to be at the National Restaurant Show. So what does it mean when I say a customizable event for you? So we can create the trade show experience for them. We actually set up aisle carpet. If you look at the photo and the first photo, and you've got the camera sitting there, we had the client's carpet, but we actually set up aisle carpet. We all know what aisle carpet is if you've been to a trade show. And we had curtains set up so that you couldn't really see anything else around it. We really isolated the booth and made it its own little trade show environment. There's live filming. You can see the film crew that's there. They were doing, as you saw in the video, live product demos. Then in addition to that, they were here for about a week. The client was here as Apex. They were here for about a week, and they did additional photo shoots and live. They did more videos for it so they could actually use all of that for marketing materials. They were holding webinars. They did like 2 or 3 webinars, and then they did private events and did one-on-one meetings with some high-profile clients. And then obviously you saw the question and answer session that was very interactive for them. It was a lot of fun watching it be made.
That sounds outstanding.
Yeah, so what's kind of cool is that we pulled some of the metrics from the show that they were doing. I'm calling it their show that Apex did. And so they sent out 5,000 invitations to this event, and they ended up with 300 registrants, which is a great number if you do the stats, and if you know anything about doing webinars, that's a good return. And 200 people showed up. So some of the metrics we were able to get from this event is that they had 100% of attentiveness, which is how many of us put up a picture and we go off and do other things. And really that's how the event was structured, because people had to be interactive. The average interest rate was at 90%. Obviously the attendance of it is 63%. That's what that math is on that one. And then the poll response rate was 53%. So people were actively involved in the questioning and watching the webinar. To reach, I mean, how many of us can, raise your hand if you're able to get to 200 people when you're even at a show? So it was a huge success for them. So take the trade show to your audience. You can live stream your event the week of your canceled show. That's people like going, oh, I wouldn't have thought of that. But that's actually what this client did. We pushed to get everything done. She got all of her scripting done. We did all of her dry runs. Had all the equipment up and running so that they could do their show during the week the show was happening. And they had a better turnout because of that. So it was an expanded audience, and everybody they would have invited to the show, they were invited to this event, and I feel that's why they had the turnout that they had. You obviously can use your videos that you're doing for pre and post event marketing. And you can use all the content for additional marketing campaigns throughout the year. Utilize the data on a weekly basis in your customized platform. Again, that's the platform that we're using, is that you can keep going back to that data and take clients into those rooms on a regular basis to have those conversations, because it isn't a one and done. This is the base of trade shows is going to change, and I think people have to be more meaningful interactions. We've got to try and get in front of people before your event happens. It's imperative that you do, because there's a good chance that it's going to get canceled. So if you don't do it, if people say, well, what's this going to cost? It's very cost effective. And if you look at what it's going to cost you not to do it, how can you say that you don't want the leads and you don't want the interaction with your customers? This is my client. She told me that I could put her phone number out there or email out there. And I said, no, I won't do that. But awesome young lady that loved working with her, and she wrote us a very nice testimonial. I'm not going to sit here and read it to you. You guys can read it, but
so while let's everybody read that. I did have a couple things that popped up, and I kind of wonder. So just so everyone kind of understands, so you actually set the exhibit up in your facility,
yes,
and then your clients come in and they actually perform the trade show in your facility while it's being recorded, and then all of that material isn't a one-time use. They could use it over and over and over, so their ROI increases astronomically.
You're exactly right. Because again, it goes from, we work again with Spot On, and so that content is out there. They're helping with the scripting. We're helping coordinate and project manage that whole piece. And so, because it can be daunting, I think clients are a little frightened by the fact that, oh my God, I have to write a script. But they have to know you're not in this alone. And what would you do if you're at a trade show? How are you working this when you're at a trade show? Yeah. So that's what you have to think about. And that's kind of what Ashley's team did. She sat down with the people that were working the show. What do we need to say? What do we need to do? So it's not something that is going to be that daunting when you have people walking you through it, which is fantastic. So you're not doing that by yourself. And then you can use clips of the videos. You can do a photo shoot and keep doing those webcasts and those webinars. You don't have to quit. You can go in the rooms. Lindy's got rooms. You can go in and be able to use them. So it's a great way to keep in front of those clients continuously.
Right. And just so everybody knows, so VidExpo is a collaboration between Abstract Displays, Spot On Video, and then Ulimi. We have a virtual events platform, and that is the delivery mechanism. So that's where the reference to Ulimi came in. Right. I think what you're describing here is a sticky content. You're helping your customers create sticky or lasting content that their customers can engage with. And I think also, we're talking live events, but once these events are produced, they're also on-demand events. So yeah, customers could really come in 24/7. Is that correct?
Yes, most definitely. And it's because why not? We've got a global audience, so why would you not be able to have access to this? And again, you would not be able to do that at the trade show. You know, there for 3 or 4 days and away you go. Now, mind you, I'm not saying this replaces trade shows.
Yeah.
Because I don't think anything will ever replace that face-to-face at a show. I miss it, desperately miss it. I never thought it's exhausting. Your feet hurt, your back hurts, the smell of the forklifts, but I miss it. And I think that's why I'm kind of offering to clients, hey, listen, if you need help in your booth, I'll go and work your booth for you, because I miss being on the show floor with clients greatly. As humans, we want to be interacting with each other. And I feel that's the piece that's being missed now with the virtual shows. And we'll go back to doing trade shows, but people right now want that interaction. And that's why we came up with VidExpo. It was just the right time, and it just makes sense.
And what are your thoughts on so many of the virtual events I've gone to? You're in a computer-generated type scenario, and it's just very, I don't know, it's not personal at all to me. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, again, I shared the case with the one client, and it was really just a landing page that they had, and they thought they were going to get more than that. They weren't going to get any money back from their booth space, and I guess they fought them on that. And if you wanted more things on your page, they wanted you to buy up in the sponsorship. And they're like, well, wait a minute here. I'm not getting my booth space. Why would I do this?
Yeah.
So, the only way I think people are going to get any additional type of interaction is that they're actually going to have to pay more than what they paid for their booth space. And for me, it's going to be a lot cheaper than that. And then the idea that I had with this, and I don't know if you can do it, but it's worth looking at. So let's say you do a VidExpo event, and we've done video, we're going to set up a webinar, and it's going to be live streaming. And you put literature on, you're allowed to put literature on that page. And I thought about this for this client, and I'm like, oh man, if they just talked to me, we could have put like an invitation as one of those PDFs, and they could have like clicked on it and went in and registered for an event that's going on during it. So that's something to keep in mind too when you're doing the virtual, is there a way to create an interaction that takes them out of that virtual, let's say the next day, that they can go to an event, and it's your event that they're coming to, and it's your VidExpo. So that's
so you're the customer is creating their own event and delivering it to their audience.
You're exactly right. So I don't know, because every one of them is different. They're not using just one specific company.
Right.
Everybody's become a virtual trade show expert.
Of course.
And so I think it's whoever can be the cheapest for them, and that's kind of the direction they're going. Right. So, but if you can put an invitation, if they're allowing you to put a video on there, put one of the videos that we could do for you, and put something in there about come to our live stream event on this date and time, and click here, or here's an email address, come in and register for the event. So I think there's ways that you can get around it if you do this ahead of the virtual trade show that they're going to do for you.
Exactly, and with VidExpo, we can create whatever we need to create for the clients. So I think we'll have a bunch of happy clients is what we're heading for. A couple questions have popped up in the chat room. I'm going to read it. It's a little bit long. So, is the benefit of in-person interactions truly irreplaceable, or is it more indicative of deficiencies of the current state of existing platforms? I'm going to let you answer it, then I have a response to that as well.
Well, I guess, the state of the platform, I guess I don't totally understand that. Is that for the technical side of it? Is it?
Why don't I take the platform part of that, and you take you're the expert on face-to-face marketing.
Yeah, because the face-to-face marketing is the one thing that I'm hearing from clients is that they're missing that piece of it, that face-to-face. They want to see who they're doing business with. They want to see what's new. They want to see if they're looking for new vendors, they want to be able to see them all in one place. And some exhibitors, that's the only way that they are able to sell their product. That trade shows is a big portion of their marketing and sales. So I feel very bad for companies that aren't able to go to the shows, because who would ever think that we'd be in this world that we couldn't do face-to-face. So I don't think trade shows will ever go away. The face-to-face will never go away.
Yeah, and then I'll answer the platform side of that. So there's so many platforms out there for connecting, but they all have a deficiency. Even Zoom, as popular as Zoom is, if you start to add rooms to that and you add presenters, and if you think about it, if you're a company that has 10 products and you need 10 separate rooms that are all connected together, I just did the pricing in Zoom that adds up to over $50,000 just for the platform alone. Forget anything else. And VidExpo, we're putting that at a fraction of that. So we're able to do these high-end deliverables at a fraction of the dollar. And and like Carla mentioned, there was the other, there was the platform where they had 4 pieces of literature. Why in the world are you limiting someone to 4 pieces of literature? I mean,
it's a server. I'm sure it's probably the server that they limited it to 2-minute videos. That's all they could put on there.
Yeah, and you need to do whatever you need to do to get leads and close deals. I mean, that's what you need to do. And this is, you wouldn't bring 4 pieces of literature to a trade show that you spent $50,000 on. You just wouldn't do that. I mean, so yeah, the platforms. I agree with you, Jay. The platforms are lacking, but the platforms going forward have to bring human beings together. So the platform is just digital. The interaction can't be digital. That has to be personal. So, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions from the chat room? None right now. I did have a few more. I kind of just touched on it, but what makes VidExpo better?
What makes it better?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that just kind of goes without saying. It is the face-to-face.
Yeah.
The fact that you have that live interaction and you're actually in the trade show environment, and you're not like I am right now, sitting in my office with a banner stand behind me. I'm in my booth space. I'm able to sell to you in my booth space. I'm standing up, walking around my booth, and that says a lot for the interaction, and versus being able to do a virtual, which is there's no interaction. The interaction is important.
Yeah, agreed. And also, and we didn't really touch on this, but with your VidExpo, it's also a great opportunity to train your staff. There's nothing worse than flying to Vegas or Orlando, and you go to, and I'll share this story. I wanted to go to there was a customer / vendor of mine, and I wanted to learn about their new product so much. And I went there, and they had their entire booth staffed with a distributor, and they didn't know anything. They were on their phones. Their backs were turned. They really, other than handing me a piece of literature, they didn't know anything.
So I do booth training too, just so you know.
Excellent. But VidExpo is a great platform to prepare for your shows as well. So there's, when I mentioned earlier, there's multiple uses that list of uses go on. So
I agree 100%, because again, I don't think things are going to change, and we're going to go right back to where we were anytime soon. And we've got to do something that's going to supplement and enhance the experiences that you have with your clients. I felt that people were, when the stuff started happening and they started shutting things down, people kind of froze. I think people were in, a little PTSD is going on, and a little frightened of, okay, what are we doing? How are we going to get to go to these shows?
Yeah.
And I think the biggest fear right now is getting people at your company to travel to the events.
Well, and it's also, you said people can't travel, but how many times do you go to an event, you have a customer base or target base of 20,000, and 4,000 show up at the event, and that other 16,000 is sitting out there and you can't touch them. You now have the opportunity to take the event to them. So that's a huge advantage. So really spreading your market share and touching more customers, the hard to reach customers, you make it easy. So.
One of the things that someone asked me, they said, well, once they come back, do you think people will go to the shows? And, as an exhibitor, do I want to go? Because are people even going to be there? One thing I will tell you is that the people that are needing something, the people that are decision makers will be there. In 2008, when the economy had a downturn, I can't compare it to this at all anymore. Yeah. But I will tell you, the one thing that people cut back on travel, they cut back on going to trade shows. But the people that were going were meaningful people that could make the decisions, because that's really, at the end of the day, that's who we're trying to get a hold of, is the decision makers. So people will show up. I'm excited to be able to attend some of the first events that'll be in Vegas. because I'm excited to see what happens with them and what the attendance looks like. There's going to be a totally different vibe at shows. All the safety stuff is going to be put in place. But to be able to have, again, to go back to VidExpo, to have something like that can be a pre-show teaser and a post-show follow-up, it's kind of a no-brainer for us.
Yeah, without a doubt. And then you add to the hard to get to clients. I mean, that's
yes,
it's the
perfect. The ones that didn't show up, right? The ones
Yeah.
that didn't show up.
Exactly. Exactly. Outstanding. Well, I think we've made it through all the questions in the chat. This was there was a lot of chat going on, so that's exciting. This was great. I mean, honestly, this was you've envisioned a phenomenal product, and it's coming to fruition, or it's come to fruition, and it just seems like this is what the market needs now and going forward.
Yeah, and if they want more information, I put my email address in there. Please email me if you want to come to. If you're visiting people, obviously we're practicing all the safety here. I didn't want to do a presentation with the mask on my face, but it's to where we're practicing all that, so I can show you our studio, how we've set everything up. And if you've got questions, please send me an email. I'd gladly jump on a call with you and kind of walk you through what we're doing. I think one of the biggest questions will be cost, and everything's customizable. Yeah. And it's how much time is going to be put into it is really where the cost is going to vary. How long do you want to keep using this? But it's going to be a fraction of the cost of what you're paying for the shows. Most of the people, if they're on here, if they've done shows, they know they have their material handling, they have their labor, they have their electric. What you're paying for show services this isn't going to be anywhere near what you're paying for show services.
Yeah.
So
and with the platform, you've got some interesting, unique engagement opportunities as well. I mean, like just text validating make sure people who are in the room are who they are. Just that final security thing when you're trying to put on a show and you don't want your competitors sneaking in.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
Okay, well, this was awesome. Well, Carla, this was absolutely wonderful. Did you have any other final thoughts, or we're at the bottom of the hour?
Call me.
Absolutely.
That's the biggest thing. Let me get in front of you and let me show you what we can do for you. Again, if you don't have a booth, or if you have a booth, great, bring it to me and I can set it up. But if we can do something for you that's going to cost less than you having to ship a booth to me, let's take a look at what it looks like for what we have, and being able to do some type of rental that we can put your own branding on. So and again, we'll work with you on the whole project management piece of it, of getting it, the scripting and that whole piece of it. We're totally involved in every piece of it, so you don't have to be afraid of it.
Yeah, and then there is a question. Jay had asked, do you help clients craft their invites and outreach to increase the attendance of the virtual show?
Yes, most definitely. Now, Apex, they ended up, they used MailChimp. They ended up doing, they put it out on LinkedIn, and they sent all their invites out that way. They used their CRM. They sent invites out through their CRM, and they used, I think, Salesforce. So they get it out there and craft those to where it matches what it's going to look like for the trade show.
Excellent. Great. Excellent. So this was wonderful. And everybody who's in the chat room, everybody who signed up, I'll send you the video of this. It should be available in about 24 hours. So if you want to share it with folks in your network, please feel free to do so.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I really appreciate it, Doug. This is so needed right now. I think people are really frightened about going to shows, but don't be frightened by VidExpo, because we're here to hold your hand through it.
Absolutely. There's something uniquely special about being able to come together and just help people solve their problems.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's outstanding. Okay, Carla, thank you so very much. And we will see everyone next Thursday at 2 o'clock at this time. Thanks a lot.
Be there, be square.
Yeah.
Right. See ya. Bye.